Hello and welcome to HD Movie Talk. I am your host, Dean's Beans, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host and TikTok superstar, Fluffy Duffy.
Why do you say that? You don't have to. And also, you're not. We're
He
both
told
co-hosts.
me. Okay, so we also have someone else here. We have Evan. Hi, Evan.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. I just want Evan to back me up here and admit that Harlan asked me to say that before we started recording. So I don't know why now he's pretending that he didn't ask me to say that.
Evan, I thought I could trust you.
Official piece of shit. I am not surprised that when he asked you to say that, I'm going to be 100% honest.
Okay, yeah. I'm enjoying this, insulting Harlan right out the gates. The Americans aren't on your side anymore. Anyway.
Yeah, I honestly... Well, I'll bring up the Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing sometime.
Okay, not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Interesting.
This is the 12th episode of The Guest's Best. So congrats on being our 12th ever guest, I suppose.
Yeah. I like the 12.
Where we get a guest and they bring their best, I hope.
Well, yeah, it's their best.
Before we get to that, though, I think Evan should probably tell us who he is.
Oh, yeah. Hello, my name is Evan. I am a fellow TikTok superstar as our holy god, Harlan Duffy over here. And most of my content revolves around just like the nerd stuff that I enjoy when it comes to Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. All content based around stuff I like, basically.
Nice. Yeah, so...
And you do more cosplay than both of us.
I do cosplay
combined.
too.
Yeah.
I do a lot of cosplays. I'm also 6 foot and single.
He's in Michigan, if anyone's interested.
If you want to come to the Michigan area and look for a blonde bad boy.
Recently blonde bad boy.
Blonde bad boy.
I'm free
This
Thursday.
is taking a weird turn.
This took a weird turn.
I'm like, Evan, are you when are you free this week? Get it? Because I would hook up with you.
Okay. Moving swiftly on. I had nothing to move on to. I just wanted to move on. Harlan, move us on to something.
Okay, should we move on to the movie we're going to talk about today?
Oh, yeah. Evan, what's the movie you have brought us today?
Dean, Harlan,
Yeah.
I have brought you the beginning, basically, of all MCU superhero movies that started the revolutionary take into the MCU. The Blade movie. Wesley Snipes.
I thought he was going to say Howard the Duck, and I honestly got a little anxious there because I'm like, I think we watched the wrong movie.
I don't think you could choose two more different Marvel movies than Blade and Howard the Duck.
One awful, and then one Howard the Duck. No, I'm playing.
Anyway, before we start talking about this movie, we've got a new segment which we tried out last episode of the Guest Fest, and I think it went wonderfully. And it is...
I don't agree, but whatever.
Wow, I put lots of hours and hours of effort into that. It was, are you smarter than a Fluffy Duffy? Okay.
Oh.
So how this is going to work is I have 4 questions about the movie we're talking about, Blade. Mm-hmm. Evan gets the opportunity to answer the questions first because Harlan is obviously, as we all know, the trivia king. He's the trivia fact king.
That's why he lost last time.
Exactly. So 4 questions. Whoever gets the most right wins. And there is a tiebreaker if you draw. What was I about to say? Oh, yes. Sure. Are we doing the punishment again? Is that something we're going to keep doing, Harlan?
There will be a punishment, but I think that we need to do something different that will be announced on the release of the podcast day.
Sure. We'll think of a punishment. I'll think of a punishment.
Well, we're thinking about...
You and Evan and you will think of a punishment.
Yeah, we'll think of a punishment for Harlan if he loses. If you lose, Evan, the only thing that will happen is shame. That's it.
Yeah.
Shame. Perfect.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke that I would immediately kick you off the podcast, but then I realized Harlan and I would have to figure out how to fill the rest of the episode. You can stay.
Oh,
okay.
Perfect.
Question number 1. This one should be easy. It's multiple choice.
Can I please get the easy? Is it to me or is it to Evan?
Well, Evan gets to answer first.
Did you not listen to the rules that
Did
you
not
have
listen
set?
to the rules. Wow. Okay.
No.
Actually, before we start this quiz, I want to give everyone a peek behind the curtain. Out of the blue today, Harlan texted me saying, give me easy questions on the game today or else.
Show it, please.
He said, also, give me easier tape. And then I said, wow, I'm gonna make the questions even harder.
Yes!
The idea behind this entire segment is just to shame Harlan. So exposing the texts he sends is the perfect way to do that.
As much as I know about this movie, I know are these questions going to be centered around like off screen or on screen? Because I know like a little bit about the off screen.
Mostly off. Anyway, question number 1 is very off screen. Which of these statements about Wesley Snipes is false? Okay. I'm going to give you 4 things about Wesley Snipes. I've just made one of them up, and you have to tell me which one it is. Okay, number 1, he led the police on a 30-mile car chase. Number 2, he went to prison for 3 years. Number 3, he briefly acted as Michael Jackson's bodyguard. And number 4, he was arrested for possession of marijuana.
Okay, so the first is true.
Okay.
Second, what's the second one?
He was imprisoned for 3 years.
The Michael Jackson one, I'm pretty sure is true. The marijuana arrest?
That is true. That's the false one, I mean. So you're true, I'm false. Would that have been your guess?
Hi, false.
Hi, false.
What, Dean?
Would that have been your guess?
No, I was gonna say the 3 years one actually.
No, he went to prison for 3 years for tax fraud.
Haha.
Actually,
You know what?
It wasn't
Yeah.
even tax fraud. It's just that he decided not to pay his taxes at all for 3 years. and then went to prison for it. Good on him. Okay. That's 1 point to Evan. Harlan, you're doing really crap so far.
My God, you are the worst.
Okay, question number 2. Blade was the first Marvel project to star a non-white actor. That's not the question because we all know that's true. How many live action Marvel projects, TV or film, have there been since Blade to do the same? Actually, you both of you give me a number. Evan first, then Harlan. Whoever.
Wait, what the heck? Did he get to steal the point? Wait.
Question.
Yeah.
Are we counting Blade Trinity as a whole?
Everything that came after the first Blade movie, you need to count.
Okay.
And so this is just saying it's like a black lead and
a non-white lead.
A non. Oh, damn. Okay. This is hard.
There's a couple tricky ones. There's one on this list that I didn't even know was a thing.
We just have to say a number, right? We don't have to say.
Yeah, just a number. Evan first, and then you, Harlan.
Me. Oh, it's me first. Okay. 20.
20 is your guess. What's your guess, Harlan?
Wait, you should tell him if he's wrong or right first.
Well, no, whoever's closest gets it. So make your guess, and then I'll say who's closest.
15.
Harlan is closer. You have both gone way over because unless I'm seriously forgetting some, the answer is 9.
9.
Wow, that's a bummer. Is
So
Eternals on that list?
I didn't put Eternals, no.
Because I think Eternals should fit on that list.
Well, I thought about it, but I was like, Anyway, it would then be 10, and then you still get the point. Okay, but we have Blade 2, Blade 3, Black Panther, Shang-Chi, Luke Cage, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier I counted because Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
This is what I didn't know what existed. I think Evan will know about this. Blade the series.
Yes.
Had a TV show. Didn't know about that.
And animated one?
An animated Blade show?
Did there?
Yeah, Blade show. It was an anime.
Then there was
Oh.
Cloak and Dagger,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
and the other one I put was The Runaways.
Yes.
But then if we count Eternals, it's 10. But Harlan gets the point. You are now equal. Okay.
You see, when you asked that, I was thinking like, oh, Wonder Woman, Spawn, and Steel, but I forget that Spawn came out before Blade, and Steel also came out before Blade.
Steel was the superhero movie that came out before. And funnily enough, people thought this movie was going to do really badly. This is just because it was like the first big superhero movie to come out since Batman and Robin. Which, funnily enough, is the movie we talked about last week. Okay.
George Clooney?
Yeah.
Chicks dig the car. Sorry.
That credit card.
This is why Superman works alone.
I'm trying to think of it. I can't. Anyway. Okay. Question number 3. Even
Welcome to the Ice Age. Sorry, I'm done. I'm done now.
Adam and Evil. Anyway, when the movie was pitched, the studio had 3 actors in mind for the part of Blade. Can you name me one of them?
Denzel Washington, Lawrence Fishburne, and LL Cool J wanted to play the role, but never got the access to play the role. And it was Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, well done. You got all 3. Oh, easy. I thought I'd chuck Wesley Snipes in there because I thought you might not say Wesley Snipes when asking that question. Funny enough, when Wesley Snipes was offered this part, he wanted to make a Black Panther movie.
Yeah, he was
He was Blade was.
Lead a Black Panther movie.
Yeah. But they got a better actor for that who hasn't been in prison. Final question. If you get this right, Evan, you're better than Harlan.
Me.
What about you?
It's my question.
No, you don't get asked first. Okay. Shall I ask him first just to give him a chance? Because I feel like he's not going to get this question. I know Evan will.
Well, if he's asked first, like there's no chance if I win. I should get.
Okay.
Then you should have.
Sure, you can have it first, Harlan. Because what line of this movie was added after the writer heard Wesley Snipes say it on set?
No.
I knew you wouldn't know it. So just think of a line from this movie which is quite iconic.
Oh. No, I can't think of it. But I remember watching it last night and being like, that is a line. I don't know. What is it, Evan?
I think it's one of 2.
Oh, you got to choose one.
I got to choose one.
We'll say them both, and then choose one.
I'll say the one that I'm going to go. Is it, motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind? It's when the police are shooting him.
Oh, that made me laugh.
That is not the line.
Damn it.
The other one he was going to say.
The other one is the suckhead line.
Also, not the line.
Really?
Wow.
I thought you'd get this because to me, it's like the most iconic line in the movie.
Is it the ice skate uphill?
Yeah.
Damn it!
It's
wow. Is it
some
the ice skate
motherfuckers
uphill?
Always trying to ice skate uphill.
Motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Anyway, you still won. So
Yeah, he's still.
we'll think of a punishment for Harlan. If you want to know what that punishment is, go on to my TikTok probably. I don't know. You figure out for
One
yourself.
of our TikToks. You'll see it.
We're gonna
If you follow all of us, you'll figure it out. So,
Exactly. Go follow all of us and watch all of our videos, and then it'll be in one of them.
watch content.
Start from our first video to our latest video, and then just wait until you find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already got down.
With that over and done with, there is a prize for you, Evan. You're going to be delighted about this. Your prize is to explain the plot of the movie to the audience.
I love explaining things. I'm such a loud mouth. Before all my video games fall off my desk. Okay, so the plot of Blade is
Harlan has left the room. He is rage quit. He's not happy that you won.
Did he actually?
No, he's he can't.
I need my Gatorade.
I was saying that you rage quit and just left because you lost. You're like, yeah, Dean, you could do this podcast by yourself. Anyway, Evan, sorry for interrupting you. Please take it away.
No problem. So the plot of Blade is it's a very vampire hunter story. So Blade is a daywalker vampire. Blade was born when his mother was bit by a vampire, but at the same time he was born a human because it was around the same time. So he has both genes of a human where he can stand out in the daylight and he can basically just doesn't get affected by silver and doesn't get affected by garlic or anything like that. But he also has all the powers of a vampire. He has increased speed, he has increased agility, silence when he moves, he's got the fangs, he can drink blood. But he doesn't want to do that, he wants to protect humans. Now, vampires have kept themselves secret and they've tried to do their own thing for years where they're not trying to sacrifice humans. So a character named Deacon Frost doesn't like this. He's a half-bred, he's not a pure bred vampire. So he wants to take everything out and take all the humans out with him by finding this blood god and taking over his powers. So Wesley Snipes' Blade is basically just trying to take Deacon Frost out the whole time before he destroys the world from this blood god's powers.
That was a very well done summary. I'm impressed. That's better than I would have done.
I've explained this movie so many times. So many times to try and get my friends interested.
You know, I think for like being like literally besides Howard the Duck, the Marvel movie to start Marvel, not enough people have seen it. Like I feel like it's such a landmark in nerd culture, but like nobody's really seen it.
Really, when you look at the timeline of superhero movies as a whole, this movie I think is the turning point. Because before this movie, you have stuff like we've already talked about, like Steel and Batman and Robin and all those kind of more campy and more out there superhero movies. And then after this, you get X-Men and you get the MCU and you get the Dark Knight trilogy and you get all of that. Because I think this really is like the turning point.
I don't appreciate how you just skipped over Spider-Man in that list.
Oh, yeah. Spider-Man. I forget he exists a lot. You know, he's just a bit of a forgettable superhero.
He's like right behind you.
Not talked about a lot.
But it's really interesting because Blade, when people think about movies that really moved Marvel forward, you think of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, you think of Hugh Jackman and the X-Men. You've got all these great movies, but Blade is very undershadowed, even though this is really the one that led forward into, hey, we can't do campy movies. Like there were so many movies that came out before that was like The Phantom Man. Spawn was a failure because of all the bad CG and just horrible acting. And Tank Girl. I don't think anyone's seen Tank Girl, but Tank Girl is based on a comic.
Yeah.
That is a DC owned property, if I'm correct.
I think it's DC. It's definitely
DC?
not Marvel. It's DC or something else.
It's Tank Girl.
But
oh my god.
But there were so many movies that were they were really trying to go for campy, funny, because that's what people thought comics were back in the day. Nobody took comics seriously, as if today you go and you're going to go watch Logan. You know that's based off Old Man Logan's story, and that is brutal.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, Blade really stepped forward and was like, hey, we're not going to listen to execs on this one. We're going to push forward and try to give an actual relatively good comic-based movie.
Yeah, exactly. I think it definitely is the turning point. Just side note, I'm adding Tank Girl to our list of bad movies to one day talk about. It's a good one.
This is like a new discovery for me.
I do know of Tank Girl. I've never seen it, but I know of it. Have you seen it, Evan?
It's not good.
Yeah. Good thing it's going on the bad movie list then.
There are very few movies that I'll watch over that movie. Batman and Robin is one of them.
Really?
Yes.
I hated that movie more than the
I
average
loved
person, I
it.
guess, because I literally my least favorite movie I've ever seen. That movie for me is worse than Holmes and Watson.
Oh God, don't even get me started.
Holmes and Watson is
You
my
know, we
least
know
favorite
people that
movie
like
ever.
that movie.
I think people only like that movie because of Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's crazy how much Holmes and Watson comes up on this podcast. It
well, it's
really
because
is.
you're British.
Who else is still talking about Holmes and Watson in 2022
Nobody.
apart from HD Movie Talk? We're really sticking with the trends. Anyway, how am I gonna? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Harlan,
Yeah.
neither of me nor you have watched this movie before watching it today or yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to tell me about your possession? What am I talking about? Do you want to tell us about your opinions on this movie and your impressions on this movie while I go and make myself a drink?
Yes. I actually really enjoyed it. I think it has more of a 2000s vibe than not 2000s, but like early, like the soundtrack in this. There's some ones where it's like, you know, classic movies, but other times it's like hardcore EDM disco, and it's freaking amazing. And I was really, even though like I think this movie, when it comes to like the CGI aspect, has, you know, definitely aged, but it doesn't really take away from the movie at all, because I don't judge it from that, because it was made in 1998. But I really enjoyed it. I thought all the characters were intriguing enough. Even the female protagonist I found actually really interesting. Not protagonist.
Yeah.
Side character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen Page. So when you were talking about CGI, the CGI is very dated. It's very 1990s, very 2000 feel, especially towards the end, like the skull vampires coming out of the mouths with the electricity, and when he gets cut in half, and there's the whole blood spurt. But when it comes to the music is very, very of its time, and it's amazing to look back on it, because it reminds me of the Mortal Kombat soundtrack from the original Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
But like the iconic bloodbath scene, the ending music and the fight scene, just all the fights in general, when it came to the music, it is so techy, and it was so good. Even like, I think it keeps up to date for the music.
I think I did really enjoy the music. I think even like a movie like Spider-Man, which definitely has some shoddy CGI parts, definitely has like that. You can tell just from like the music and the way the movie looks, it was made in the early 2000s. But I think this is like, yeah, I mean, even though this movie actually didn't even come out in the early 2000s, but it definitely was ahead of its time in that aspect. It's definitely a product of its time, 100%.
Yeah.
But I like
and
that.
Not in
It's
like a
like,
negative way either. I know what you mean.
right. It's like how I like to watch Footloose, because it's the 80s.
Yeah. I think the bigger problem with the CGI is like there is an over reliance on it, which there is in a lot of movies from this era. Like they keep going, oh yeah, let's do everything with CGI, not realizing that it doesn't look good, if that makes sense.
No, go ahead, Edwin.
Oh, me? Okay. A majority of like, I'm not going to use the B word, but a majority of like the red goo that comes out from all of like the bloodbath scene, that is all real until the very end.
Yeah.
So
and you do notice when it changes.
If I'm correct, there was about 30 gallons of corn syrup and red dye used in that movie.
Oh my god, that sounds right, but that sounds so sticky.
Did you see? This is very off topic, but you made me think of it. Have you guys seen Peacemaker?
Yes.
Do you know the ending when, I can't remember the character's name, when the lady torpedoes through the cow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the behind the scenes clip of her laying on the floor and then just pouring buckets of like blood and guts onto her?
hmm
I have not.
That's what you made me think of when you went 30 gallons of blood. I just pictured her lying on the floor, just blood and guts being poured onto her, and I'm like, lovely.
They did a really good job with that show. I was very impressed.
It was a great show.
Yes.
James Gunn is just the best.
He's gonna lead DC into a good direction.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. But
I'm a Snyder fan. Don't get me wrong, but I'm excited for this new era.
Me too.
me too. Whoa, Jinx. Owe me a Coke.
Anyway, I watched Blade for the first time I finished it about an hour and a bit ago, and I had a great time with it. I thought the action really worked, and I just think Blade was a really cool character, and I liked the plot, and I liked the side characters, and like Harlan said, it is somewhat of its time, but I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing.
Right. I think going back to that action thing, action point, not the giant axle movie. Blade, like how when he's fighting, it's so there's this one specific bit where he's like in a corridor between two vampires, and like as like one's down and the other one's getting up, he's like bouncing up and down. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, I know
You know
exactly.
what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I was like, all right, I'm down with this character now.
The thing with the action in this movie is that it's very Matrix-esque. That it came out before the Matrix.
So if you guys didn't notice, a lot of the outside scenes that weren't put on the main studio were taken in Chinatown.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
So like when it came to like, if I'm correct, I'm not 100% sure on this, but most of the shots were taken in Chinatown, and so that's why there's a lot of just mixed characters, mixed bag in there, and some of the more like some of the more fight scenes were all like kung fu analysis, which is more like Blade style in the comics. Jinjitsu, kung fu, and that's why all of these are shot like Matrix-y fights, because it's basically the same thing when it comes to the self-defense and the attacking portion of the fight scenes.
Totally. It's like definitely like it just gave like such hard like kung fu vibe movie. Even like the sound effects and which is like different than movies we get today. We don't get anything like that, not even in the Matrix. But
Matrix.
Okay,
I think
I should have asked this question earlier on, but Evan, do you want to tell us about like your history with this movie?
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Your history.
did I tell you guys my history with this movie?
I think you told us.
Yes, you did.
So I was maybe 7, not old enough to watch this movie whatsoever.
No,
and
no.
My dad turned it on when we were watching, and I just got so intrigued into it. So I got so like interested, and I kept watching it, and it was so much fun for me to watch, because first of all, you got a really cool main character, you got swords, you got big fight scenes. This is the peak of a 7-year-old's mind. And you've got all this cool stuff, and so this is what really led me into reading comic books and reading or like getting more into Marvel. So then my dad was like, hey, do you really like this movie? I was like, yeah. So he bought it for me on Blu-ray.
Hell yeah.
And so a couple of years later, when I was like 13, I didn't know that there was the second and third one out. And then I found out, and I was like, oh my God. So I watched the second and third one. They're all right.
I thought the second one was like better than the first one.
The second one is fantastic choreography wise.
The third one's quite hated, isn't it?
The third one is so the third one is hated for a multitude of reasons, and I can list them, but God, they're okay. So I'm just gonna list a couple things. First of all, they brought Whistler back.
Oh.
And they really should not have done that, because this is the thing. And I know Marvel characters come back all the time, but they brought him back if I'm correct, they brought him back as a vampire.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't like that.
first of all, even if he was mind controlled, he would know, because in the comics, Whistler has been mind controlled before, and he knows what side he's fighting for, and he usually fought back against it pretty quickly. But in this one, he just fought as the villain, not the main villain. The main villain in this one was Dracula. But another one was Ryan Reynolds, because Ryan Reynolds was going through his hate stage at the time, where people did not like Ryan Reynolds and anything he was involved with.
And Wesley Snipes did not like him either, from what
No, they still do not have a great relationship to this day.
And isn't it rumored that Wesley Snipes choked the director on the set of Blade 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wesley
Snipes,
Snipes,
like a lovely guy all round.
So I am not the biggest fan of Wesley Snipes. I love this movie with all my heart, but Wesley Snipes is a conglomerate of a man. He has done, when it came to tax fraud, when it came to just being a complete and total asshole on set, when it came to just, instead of thinking of himself as an actor, he thought of himself more as a producer as well.
Was he producing it?
I think he produced the second one and the first one, and I'm not so sure on the third one because there were some disagreements. But Stephen Dorff, who plays Deacon Frost, was very, very nervous during the first Blade movie. And Wesley was trying to coach him and be helpful, but there was a sort of beef between them in this whole set movie. And it's realistic because he was very nervous, because there's a bunch of filmmakers coming on set. There's people coming to watch the filming of this, and you're nervous. And then there's a guy coming up trying to give you tips, and you don't want it, so you keep telling them no. And they were just butting heads the whole time in the original Blade.
Method.
Yeah, I've never been like a big fan of his, and I knew about the 3 years in prison thing, but when I found out about the 30-mile car chase, blew my mind. I was like, what is you reminded me of something. Do you guys know the last time Wesley Snipes played Blade?
2004.
Incorrect.
2006?
No. Let me get the actual date.
2007.
No, this would have been a good question. Now I remembered. I just forgot it was a thing.
Late 2004, right?
The date was 2019.
What?
I think this is a good fun fact for you, Harlan. In the TV show, What We Do in the Shadows, he has a brief cameo as there's a vampire council, which is like a few actors who have played vampires in other things, and he FaceTimes in.
No shit.
Wow, you just blew Evan's mind.
I need to go. No, because I've heard of that show.
I only watched like the first season or something, but when I saw that, I was like, "Is that Wesley Snipes?"
I've heard about that show, and now I'm about to go look up the scene after that.
Okay, so there's Danny Trejo is in it.
Yep.
Because he was in Quentin Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn. Tilda Swinton. Wesley Snipes. And he joins via Skype. And it's weird. It's not a good appearance from Wesley Snipes. You can tell it isn't Blade the character. It is just Wesley Snipes sitting in his living room or whatever. But obviously he's playing the character of Blade in it. Just remembered that one.
Here's another fun fact you didn't know about Blade. The deleted scene on the internet of the director of the original Blade movie. This was how the original, before they switched it to the Russian ending where Blade's in Russia. Morbius.
Yeah.
Was here.
Oh, that would have been way cooler because that ending felt a little off. That Russia ending.
Well, when the original, that was part of the original screening, and there were a lot of problems with the original screening. Like that last 10-15 minute fight scene with Blade and Deacon Frost wasn't originally in there.
Was Deacon Frost supposed to survive?
No, he was supposed to die, but that fight scene was never supposed to happen.
Huh.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So that was added in post text. And I think it's great that they added it in, but a bunch of things like they took out, like Morbius was supposed to be the ending instead of that Russia ending where Wesley Snipes for some reason is just in fucking Russia.
Yeah,
And
but couldn't they not use Morbius because it's a Spider-Man character?
they cannot use Morbius because Sony still had the rights to Morbius.
Imagine the world we'd live in now if Morbius was in this, because then we might not be getting Morbius in April.
Oh my god!
Don't you think? Okay, sorry to talk about Morbius. I don't like Jared Leto at all. It's a running theme.
I don't think whatsoever.
Oh, never mind.
What were you about to say?
No, it's whatever. Do it.
Don't you think Morbius's like true identity, his civilian name, is the stupidest fucking name in the world?
Oh, it's awful. It is awful.
It's Michael Morbius is his name.
Michael Morbius.
Hello, I'm Michael Morbius.
Well, let's also
don't get me confused with Morbius.
It's like the Hulk being, hey, I'm Dave Hulk. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, let's think of all the other names that go along. Bruce Banner, Peter Parker.
Yeah, Stan Lee did like his alliteration of Otto Octavius and Matt Murdock, and yeah.
But when it comes to Morbius, I'm a big fan of the Morbius comics, just because I think Morbius is an interesting idea on the vampire take. But at the same time, there's things that I have disagreements with, especially when, first of all, Sony was never contacted about Morbius being in there, and they had a Sony person come in towards the end for the original screening where Morbius was in there. The director didn't hire somebody or try to get somebody because he didn't know if they were going to make a second one. So he just played Morbius. He just stood in the background. The director of the movie just stood there as Morbius.
I'm Michael Morbius. I'm going to be the villain in the next one.
I'm going to be the bad guy.
Michael Morbius. He sounds like such a nerd.
He's a doctor. Beans. I mean, you're close enough. He's a doctor.
Yeah, that's true. Harlem, what do you think Michael Morbius would sound like if he had a bit more of like a Central European accent?
Well, it would.
Slavic?
Wait, hold up. What?
You know, like an accent like something Jared Leto has done before.
Oh.
Probably sound like this. It's me, Michael Morbius. Mamma mia, pizza pie, pizza balli. Probably something like that.
I'm going to suck your blood like spaghetti bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese.
Just Jared Leto, and just thinking about Morbius now.
It's me, Michael Morbius.
Wait, I'm looking at looking up Blade on Google right now.
Yeah.
So it goes release date, director, music, and then it goes the movie Car, and then it goes to box office and who it was written by.
Nice.
Which is a 1968 Dodge Charger.
I did read that when I was looking at trivia stuff.
Where'd you go for trivia? IMDb.com?
No, I looked up some Wesley Snipes fun facts, so I thought that'd be a fun place to start, given he's an interesting guy. Oh, Dave Bautista was also in the vampire thing.
What?
Why was Dave Bautista?
I don't know. And so was Taika Waititi, but Taika Waititi, yeah.
That makes no, but
he doesn't play a version of himself. He just is there for whatever reason. What was that? I had something. Okay, different topic. Evan, what do you want from the new Blade movie, and are you hyped for it?
Yes, very excited. First of all, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Mahershala Ali acting before.
Mm-hmm.
He's great.
He's got some great films. He's a amazing actor,
and he seems like a nicer person than Wesley Snipes.
He's so
bit.
much.
As far as I know, he hasn't choked any directors, so it's a big.
He's such a kind individual, and if you look it up, he's got but he's Grammy nominated. He's amazing. And when I first heard about Blade being in the MCU and Moon Knight, and I like this darker approach they're taking, but I'm very nervous for how they're gonna do this. Yeah. That is my big heartache, I guess, because they've done Blade in animated features on Disney before. Blade was in the Ultimate Spider-Man. Blade was in the old 1990 Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But how they did it was, instead of having all this red goo go everywhere, they did vampires would just instantly disappear. Like, you slash them, they turn to dust.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't get any angry parents. Or just like upset moderators or people like that. And so when you have an idea like that and you want to bring it to something like Disney, it's very scary for someone who's used to all the carnage that goes along with it.
It should be interesting because is Blade rated R, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even in the comics.
Or what is it? What's Blade rated in UK?
It's an 18.
It's an 18. I think like R falls in like someplace when it goes from 15 to 18.
Okay. No, so what I was going, it wouldn't, they could do it at like a 15, like an R rating, because they're doing Deadpool. I think it feels like they're kind of moving more in that direction, and like I guess we'll have to wait and see for certain things. But then there's also a big discussion for you Americans at the moment. It's going to be sorted for me about what they're doing with the Marvel Netflix shows and where they're being put.
Oh, Disney.
Are they?
Yeah. So people thought they were going to be moving to Hulu.
Yeah.
So instead of Hulu, shows that are going to be more gruesome, like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. I don't like Iron Fist. Daredevil.
Iron Fist.
They're all being moved to Disney Stars, which is going to be their more mature programming.
Yeah,
we have new programming.
No, so it's going to be a part of Disney Plus, but it's going to be 18
Disney
plus.
That's what we have already, because I've had this conversation with Harlan where I've had a 18 rated stuff on Disney Plus for about a year now.
Is Logan on there?
I think so. I'll have a look.
Deadpool's
it's
on there,
weird
right?
because it's weird with there's some Deadpool's on there. I don't know if Logan is. But no, yes, we've had the 18 rated stuff, and I think Canada has for a while, and Australia and New Zealand and every outside of America, just because we don't have Hulu. So all these shows that they would be putting on Hulu, for us, they've just been put on Disney Plus.
So Disney Stars is supposed to be announced in America, if I'm correct, when Moon Knight comes out.
Okay, yeah. So we've got like The Walking Dead, and we've got The
Walking Dead. Does Disney own AMC?
Well, I think it's part of Fox.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then we have stuff like we have Kingsman.
Do you have Legion on there?
No, I don't think it is interesting. And we have Hit Monkey, which is on your Hulu, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you guys not have Hulu?
No, we don't have Hulu.
Oh, weird.
We have a lot less streaming services than you do. Logan is on Disney Plus.
Hit Monkey was fantastic.
I haven't watched it yet.
Seen it either.
So what the only streaming services we have in the UK really is Disney Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Apple TV, which no one uses. No one has Apple TV.
Yeah, nobody.
But
I have Apple TV. Anyways, I wanted to watch the Denzel Washington Hamlet.
Actually, I was considering to get it for that, actually, and I never got around to it. Anyway, we were talking something to do with Blade. Harlan, do you have any desires for the Blade movie?
I just think that like literally like Blade, if Marvel is planning to go into R-rated movies, Blade is literally the perfect opportunity, arguably more than Deadpool. Like if they made, I feel like doing a PG-13 Blade would be more of a crime than doing a PG-13 Deadpool.
I think a PG-13 Deadpool could work and would be fun.
Yes.
Because I'm not saying they should do it. I'm happy that they're not. But like you could integrate it into the movie and have a joke like, oh, Deadpool being like, oh, I can only say one F word this entire movie because obviously he knows he's in a PG-13 movie. So he's like, I just need to wait until the perfect opportunity to use it and then someone else says it or something like that. I feel like there are jokes you could do within Deadpool because it is so like meta that it would work.
Could you imagine if they did an R-rated Deadpool, but Deadpool thinks he's in a PG-13 movie, so he only tried to say the F word once, but he accidentally says it twice? That would be really funny.
The joke I saw, I think I read online somewhere someone had done the joke that you do Deadpool as PG-13 and he's waiting because he's in an X-Men movie and he's waiting to say the F word and then Wolverine says it and he gets really annoyed.
Yeah, I saw that because people were like, "Oh, X-Men First Class, are they gonna have Wade Wilson in this?"
Oh, that would have been cool.
But Wade wasn't like I get he was around the 70s, but at the same time it's kind of a kind of moment. So
yeah, it's funny.
So another thing, what was I going to talk about? One of my like worries. Oh yeah, when it comes to Blade, I'm hoping this is going to be an introduction into the Midnight Suns.
Yeah, I feel like they are setting up the Midnight Suns. It feels like they are.
If Punisher is going to be canon, if we're expecting right now Black Knight, Ghost Rider, and
Moon Knight,
Blade, and the Man Thing is already a thing, if I'm correct. Man,
they're doing Werewolf by Night. Supposedly.
Werewolf by Night would be amazing. Man Thing. If you guys don't know who Man Thing is, it's basically Swamp Thing but horror. I'd really get into Man Thing. Man Thing is a really great comic book series.
Yeah, I feel like they are doing Midnight Suns.
But no, Man Thing was the thing on Hulu. It's one of Disney's main horror projects that's been out for a while. That was very under the radar.
So 2 days ago, they cast someone in the in Blade, and I don't know who they are, but that's fine.
Yeah, it seemed like a random dude.
They do everyone else who they have cast. I don't know. I knew Ali, but I didn't know the others. And I do really like Ali.
But that's what the MCU is kind of known for now. I mean,
yeah, I think they do a really good mix of casting. Like Kevin Feige was talking about it in an interview once, where he was like, he tries to find a balance of casting your Benedict Cumberbatches, who are super famous guys, and your Chris Hemsworths, which sounds funny to say now, but at the time was a complete unknown.
Not well known whatsoever. Neither was Tom Hiddleston.
No, Tom Hiddleston wasn't. Well, yeah, then you get like Tom Holland, and then you get big names like Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson to an extent.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. I feel like weren't that famous.
No, I think Downey Jr. was. Not as much as he is now, but...
Well, like a much more, especially when he was filming Iron Man, nobody really cared about him.
Benedict Cumberbatch was the big name. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, sorry. The most people knew RDJ from was Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, and Chaplin.
But there's also like actors like Scarlett Johansson who are known, but not as well known as they are now.
Yeah, well, everyone who's been in the MCU is now more well known as a general rule.
Chris Hemsworth. Chris Pratt. I mean, let's talk about Chris Hemsworth for a second. Cabin in the Woods. Do you guys ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the main movies that got him into a bigger spotlight, but at the same time, he was still at the time a B/C tier actor.
Right. Exactly. And then after Thor, Anybody seen Red Dawn, the reboot of the old 80s movie?
No.
Don't even get me started. It has Josh Peck in it.
Dude, I actually kind of love that movie.
I hate that movie. I hate that.
Moving swiftly on. I just had but then you have like you do someone like Simu Liu compared to Oscar Isaac.
Mhm.
Right.
I love Oscar Isaac. Have I ever mentioned that before? Have you ever heard
Oscar
anything
Isaac, amazing actor. I'm very intrigued for the Moon Knight series, especially being a Moon Knight fan.
Who?
Very
Well,
funny.
honestly, I don't think Dane liked Oscar Isaac that much. It's only his facial hair.
Oh,
Just because
no, it was all the hair in June was amazing. It wasn't just the
That's
facial hair;
true.
it was the whole thing. And I feel like I do talk about that quite a lot because I think about it a lot.
But I think Moon Knight's gonna be a good step in. But when it comes to going back to Blade, I think they're gonna go for the gore factor, but at the same time, they're gonna be very cautious about where they're gonna overstep their boundaries.
Yeah,
because they don't want to do just a straight up blood fest like Blade was.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a Disney property, but at the same time, they want to have that same charismatic feel that the original had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be very interesting, especially gonna see who they're gonna cast as Whistler and who they're gonna as like the first main villain. Because first of all, I swear to God, if they do Dracula, I'm not watching.
What if they cast Jared Leto?
I might kill myself. I might run away.
What if the main bad guy is Morbius?
That wouldn't make sense.
Oh, okay.
Why didn't you want to see Dracula?
Yeah, what's wrong with Drac?
So I love Dracula.
I want to suck your blood.
Okay, Adam Sandler.
But when it comes to a character like Dracula, and you have a vampire hunter, you got to start low. You can't start at the king.
That's a good point.
If you're gonna have Blade have continued movies, and you want Mahershala Ali to perform like he does, you gotta give Dracula some time.
You can put Dracula in it like Dormammu and Doctor Strange though,
or like Thanos in like the original Avengers.
Yeah, he's just there like, I want to suck your blood.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stop doing that point.
You gotta start lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think there's any chance of seeing Blade in Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, imagine.
I will put all my chips on betting that Blade is going to be in Moon Knight.
So
it's interesting.
This was a big
confusion. Who would have guessed that he would have been in Eternals? That was the big.
That was the big. Don't touch that, boy. Boy, you best not touch that now.
Oh, and just he's got such a good voice.
Oh, his voice is so soothing.
He's gonna be so good. Imagine him saying, "Oh, some motherfuckers just want to skate up here.
Skate.
Nice. Skate up the wrong hill.
I just want to do. Well, you know, bloody. Yeah.
I love how you still have your British accent.
He just doesn't. Blade is British in the comics. I will have you know, Harlan.
Yes, he is British.
I was staying true to the character. You fuck.
Oh, okay.
Let's be honest. Half the MCU is British at this point.
I honestly, I don't know if either of you saw it, but I did a video because this was a conversation Harlan and I were having about. I did a video of proof that British people play the best superheroes, and then I chose 12 actors British actors who play superheroes. And then I posted that video and it did pretty well. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, I can do a part 2. And then I just thought of another 12 British actors who play superheroes. So I'm now up to 24.
There are so many.
I saw that video and I literally had it comment, like I typed out as a joke. Actually, Andrew Garfield was born in Los Angeles, so that doesn't count. But then I started scrolling and I realized so many people were saying that unironically. And I'm like,
honestly,
oh
the comments
God.
of that video, it was American people not understanding what Britain was. Some people were commenting like, "Oh, Christian Bale isn't British; he's Welsh," and James McAvoy isn't British; he's Scottish. And I'm like, "It's part of Britain." I was getting really
It's part of Free Scotland. Anyways, so when it when it comes to darker characters, it's very scary on what they're gonna do with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
The movie's going to be scary either way because they're either going to do it properly or.
But when there was a big misconception about Moon Knight when it first came out, because you guys saw that trailer where Moon Knight's just beating down some like anamorphic creature.
Yeah.
People thought that was a werewolf, but Moon Knight is more Egyptian mythology per se. He's got the Egyptian moon god with him, and that's a jackal.
That's fun.
Which is more pointed towards like Anubis, who is also like a jackal-like figure, like leader of hell. So I'm thinking that we're gonna have something. It's gonna have something to do with Anubis, or it's gonna have something to do with Mr. Moon God.
Yeah, Moon Knight's been rated a TV-14. I don't know what that means.
Well, that's what most Disney Plus shows are.
Do you remember that episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier where John Walker just bludgeoned the guy with the shield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was rated TV-14.
Oh, I'm happy for that then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those. I have friends and stuff who like the kind of people who get really annoyed when they're like, "Oh, Batman isn't rated R. Oh, I'm not happy. The Batman isn't rated R. I hate it." I'm like, I don't really.
Sometimes movies still good. It's good.
Too much.
So.
Yeah.
Movies are still good.
Yeah,
I just don't like when he kills people in the movies because that's his only moral in life.
Yeah. Sorry.
Here, Two-Face, catch these quarters.
Oh yeah, that's a good one as well. That's Batman. Forever. What? Batman? Seriously, sort yourself out.
Yeah, come on.
This is my thriller, is that he's gonna try to be this Zodiac like monster, and then he's gonna get beaten or like so traumatized by Batman that he's just gonna turn into the goofy Riddler we know in the comics.
Oh, that'll be so good.
That'd be interesting. That
is my one hope coming out of this movie.
Well, we'll be talking about that next week on HD Movie Talk. Evan, you're not invited.
I'm so excited. Wow, that was so mean. That was
so cruel.
You just broke him.
He can come if he wants. I feel bad now. Oh, that's funny.
All right, so should we give our final thoughts about?
Yeah, closing thoughts. Score out of 10.
Score out of 10.
8.
Yeah, I feel comfortable giving it an 8 as well. 8 out of 10.
My first instinct was 7.5, but I want to go.
Oh my
8,
God!
so go the same.
You just had to be different, Dean.
No, I said I'd go 8, so we were all the same. I literally just said that. If you listen to me for once in your life instead of talking over me, Harlan, this is why our relationship doesn't work.
Evan, did you know that they don't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch in Britain?
What?
Yeah.
That's like the best cereal.
I know. Well, they do have it, but nobody eats it.
Evan is the first person you found out who's as shocked by this as you are.
Because it's like so good.
That's like a moment.
Guys, adios. Thanks for joining us, Evan. It's been a pleasure. It's been a delight. All your stuff is linked below if people want to go follow them on TikTok. And obviously they do. Obviously. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one.